saw the pipe and I was like, wow, that's super cool. I want to figure this out. I was selling some ceramic bongs on lot and shakedown at the time. And so I kind of tried to just figure out the stuff that I needed. So I found a national and like this old weird ceramics kiln and just put things together so I could try to do it.
What up, y'all? I'm Steve, and welcome to another exciting Elev8, where we sit down with some cool ass artists in this industry. First, we have this really cool ambassador program. You can join as an Elev8 doll or an Elev8 gent, and it's really awesome. You get to help us build Elev8. It's super unique, super special, and you're really a part of something special. Check out Elev8ambassador.com to learn more. Another cool thing we have is our Elev8 Veterans program. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Teresa helps run it, and it's super awesome. We get to rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans into society our way. And you know what? I think we're doing it right. Go check it out at Elev8veterans.com. Third, there's Elev8 Bingo. It's super cool, super fun, and we get to show you more of what we do. And on top of that, every game there's a chance to win $50 credits for Elev8glassgallery.com. Go check it out. And now, let's roll into this super awesome Elev8. Welcome to Elev8. We got Dustin Revere with Revere Glass here. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, man, my first question is, how did you get into this glass blowing thing? You've done so much for the community. You do a lot of classes. A lot of blowers have worked with you and taken classes. And you've been doing this for over 20 years. So how did you get into this and build this beautiful platform for us?
Yeah, well, I started, I think, about 27 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It was in 1995. I guess it's 2022 now. So, well, I was in a pretty dark place when I was 17 and didn't really have a lot of direction. And I got into ceramics, pottery in high school. And from there, I kind of understood that glass was similar. Silica, more pure form of just silica. And my best friend, his mom was working for the Grateful Dead office because it was local, their office. So he always had all these tickets and backstage passes. And we were going to the Dead shows in like the mid and early 90s. And on the lot, I saw a glass pipe. It wasn't a Snodgrass pipe. It was somebody from the local art college called California College of Arts and Crafts. And I saw the pipe and I was like, wow, that's super cool. I want to figure this out. I was selling some ceramic bongs on lot and shakedown at the time. And so I kind of tried to just figure out the stuff that I needed. So I found a national and like this old weird ceramics kiln and just put things together so I could try to do it. And I ended up, buying a piece from the lot. It was the only place to get glass at the time because the head shops didn't sell glass. They only sold metal and wood because it just wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, so that was like right when glass started coming on into head shops was there and a little bit years later. So that's just.
Yeah. So I bought a piece on the lot and just started melting it. Of course, I cracked it right away because I put it just right in the flame and then, no kiln.
You took that pipe and were like, I'm gonna fuck with this pipe.
Yeah, that's all I knew how to do, So I was like, let me just see what happens. And I cracked it right away. And then I ended up getting the Homer Hoyt book, the blue glass blowing book.
Yeah.
And a mid-range burner, like within I don't know, a year or less of having that national torch. And then I got some supplies from a scientific shop and just started collecting stuff. At the time, it was really hard to buy supplies. There wasn't color, clear, like nobody knew anything about this. And so I just kind of started putting things together and making things from my imagination. And then about 2 years later, year and a half, maybe, I started going to that college, California College of Arts and Crafts. And there I started studying furnace glass blowing and I did my lamp working on the side. So yeah.
Wow. So now you know both sides of the glass in a sense, like soft glass and boro. Do you find you use techniques in both soft and hard glass? Like,
Yeah. Well, I think that American pipe making is basically a convergence of soft glass techniques and scientific techniques. So there's a lot of scientific techniques that go into it and a lot of soft glass techniques that, traditional Italian techniques that have been adapted for lamp working. So I went to Murano and studied furnace glass in other places. So yeah, I brought a lot of those techniques back into lamp working to develop just different methodologies for blowing pipes.
right. So you've gone to other countries to learn glass. Have you yourself? Because I know that's one thing to mention is the classes and the online classes you do and the classes that you put on with artists coming to you. And it's just nuts. You might be maybe a person who's taken more glass blowing classes in a sense than anybody else in the world. Do you find each class you learn?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I really like to be around technique and education. I just think it's stimulating. It's fascinating to see a bunch of different methodologies to get the same results or similar results. So I don't know how many workshops I've been around, but 100 maybe, something like that. Because there was, in 2006, I started offering workshops and had a platform where I was trying to uplift pipe making and say it was equal. And there was masters in pipe making, just like furnace working. So just like traditional lamp working as well. So I would offer classes at the original Revere Glass with, at then master pipe makers at the top of the industry, like Banjo and Yushin. And these guys were super early on in their career.
They were just regular cats then, right?
Yep. It was small industry. And then also Gianni Toso, Mickelson, Sewell, and Fowler. So I had all these different people coming in to try to equalize the playing field and be like, these pipe makers are masters, these glass blowers are masters. Everyone's got something to teach.
So you were bringing different artists of different genres together as well.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, Mickelson did his first pipe in a collaboration with Yushin at my studio in 2010, maybe. He taught a bunch of times at my studio before, and I kept asking him, hey man, you got to come teach a pipe. No, I'm not going to push a bowl. I don't want to make pipes. But he was always cool with the pipe makers. But then he said, okay, I'll come in, but you'll push the bowl. And I said, that's fine. And so then I called up Yushin and I was like, yo, Yush, man, he's going to come and do this class. You should do it with him and collab. And that's the first time that he made pipes.
Man, that's so awesome that you brought that together. You knew that he wanted to do it deep inside because it's making a pipe is a fucking challenge. So like that, man, I didn't know that story. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was the first ever live streamed glass blowing workshop, actually, too. So I set up a website called the Glass Q, and it was really early on. And there was another glass blower who had web dev skills too, and we set up this website. You can check it out on the Wayback Machine on Google. If you check out the Wayback Machine Glass Q from like 2010, 11, 12, that's when I think it was active. And you can see a lot of people were uploading, lessons and galleries. But yeah, we streamed that class live back then. It was super hard with the technology, but we did it.
And so what kind of got you into that? Like bringing the knowledge out to people in a digital format in a sense, because not only are you like the godfather of it, but you're still doing it like masterfully.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a big compliment. Thanks. Well,
it's true.
I think that when I started off, it was so hard to find information. It was so secretive. And Murano, I was lucky enough to go to Murano and got an invitation to study there and then to assist and then to collaborate later on. But it was so difficult, and especially in American pipe making, to find techniques and to find people willing to share. Everyone was so concerned about hiding their techniques, and still to this day it's not uncommon for glassblowers to be really concerned about showing their techniques. So I wanted to build a platform because I had been to a college, glass school, where people were sharing information. And I thought that the industry could grow as a whole. And I wasn't really worried about competition. I mean, I'm me, everybody else is already taken. I'm just me. No one's going to be me. I mean, they could make a droplet, sure. It's not super difficult. It's kind of hard to get all the lines right, but anybody can make anything. And so it's not, for me, it's not about like the technique. It's about kind of how you use everything together and put it to make your signature and your voice. So I wasn't concerned about sharing. And I got a lot of flack from the glass blowers, the old school guys, and some pipe makers about teaching so openly, especially after Operation Pipe Dreams. When I opened the school, was just a couple years later after Operation Pipe Dreams. And everyone was like, oh, I can't believe you're using your real name. I can't believe you're teaching, that you're just going to dilute the industry. And, I guess to a certain extent, like I have created thousands and thousands of glass blowers in the industry. But on that same note, I've helped thousands and thousands of people get out of 9-to-5 jobs. I've helped them live at home with their families, work at home. I've given them permission to be creative. That's hard. A lot of us didn't grow up in environments where it was okay to be creative, okay to be an artist. So I think that I've taken people out of depression, and I've added tons and tons of people into the industry that have then collaborated with the masters, brought their own ideas to the industry, and grown the whole industry.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all of that. And why do you think it is that, maybe in this industry, things are held on to, like, in a sense, secretive? Is it just competition? Is it because they're scared? Is it because I've been in that position myself, where do you feel like you've earned the knowledge so you don't want to give it away? Like, why do you think there is that hesitation to be free with the knowledge like you have been?
Well, it stems from tradition. So about 1,000 years ago, the glass blowers in Italy were on the mainland, and there was a fire, or supposedly there was a fire, and they moved all the glass blowers to Venice, to Murano. And it's an island, and the government basically trapped and imprisoned the glass blowers. They could have anything they want. These are the stories I was told in Italy. So you can fact check me if there's ways to do it, but these are what these masters, multi-generational masters, told me these stories. So they could have anything they want in Murano, but they couldn't leave. They couldn't go out and teach. And if they did go out and teach, assassins would come after them or their families, because glassblowing at the time was so valuable and so rare. So I think that it stems partly from that tradition. I think it also stems from a lack of education and maybe a big picture view, and a little bit of selfishness, because I think that people are sometimes scared of the competition.
Absolutely.
But competition breeds, innovation and new glassblowers, new techniques. So, but yeah, I think it stems from the tradition. The traditions of glassblowing is pretty heavily influential in that, and I also think it's the people in our industry, and it's them being scared of competition and trying to hold on to a piece, their income and what they have. And a lot of people in the industry, we don't come from a lot of background and backing, financial backing. And so you have a small family like me. I got, my kid's mom pregnant when she was 19, I was 25, and we had nothing, and we were trying to live off of growing and blowing glass, and it's hard, especially in California. Mm-hmm. And so I think that people are protective of their income.
Right, right. Yeah. That's neat. It's protective in income and protective, like, knowledge, I guess, it just all around. But it has spawned into a lot of different things, and this is a crazy thing. We got the whole line of foreign glass as well. Mm-hmm. That's, some people really hate on that. Some people don't mind on it.
Mhm.
It kind of is what it is. Do you feel that by having the foreign glass in here has hurt the glass blowing as a group, or advanced it, or in anything at all? Like, what's your take on that?
So in 2000, in 1999 or 2000, around, I was studying at the Appalachian Center for Crafts, another art school in Tennessee, and they had different kinds of mediums, wood and metal and glass. And I went back home to California, to the Bay Area where I'm from, and I was on Haight Street selling some glass. And this guy approached me and he said, "Oh, I want to send you to India to teach these people to blow glass." And I started talking to him, and I went to the CTA trade show, which was prior to Champs. It was called the CTA show, and we went there and kind of talked about it. I wasn't super interested. I was kind of on a different path. So I think he ended up getting Jason Harris to do it. And I think he went, that's the rumor anyway. I don't know what really happened because I dropped out of that. But he brought somebody to India to start teaching glass blowing. And, it's a complicated issue, right? Because on the one hand, you want everybody in the world to be happy, to be satisfied and creative and feel fulfilled. On the other hand, it's creating competition for American glass blowers. It's lowering the prices. The people in India and China have gotten very good at making glass compared to when they first started and in those early years.
Pretty much like me.
Yeah, they just got really, they got a lot better and they practiced. So, when somebody writes me from India or China, do you want to buy these pieces? I suggest that they try to sell them to people in their country. If they want to blow glass, why don't you make something that's either, artistic or insightful to your culture and sell it as art, or sell it, these production pieces to people in your country. And, of course they don't want to, the culture is not developed, but, my take on it is that, there is, I guess, space for that, but it does push us American glass blowers out a little bit, but it also pushes for innovation and creativity, and they can't really compete with us being here in the culture, knowing the details are always going to be behind. So you have to work hard. It's not something that we can stop. But yeah, it's, I have mixed feelings. I think like everybody, I'm not trying to hate on it, but certainly, especially early on, you would go to a shop and you try to sell something for $25-$40, and they're like, I can get that for $5 or $10 from India or China. And, it was a little frustrating. And I'm sure it still is.
I feel there was a big kind of like swing, like at a time there was no foreign glass at all. And then all of a sudden, like that stuff started getting flooded in, and that really hurt the blowers making their pipes, because that's all they made were hand pipes. Like there were bubblers, but there was no such thing as rigs. People weren't really pendants doing anything. Like there was a lot of stuff. And then something's happened now where the art and the American art seems to really be doing fairly well. The foreign stuff it's here, and it's again gotten better quality, but it seems like they've like separated themselves in a sense.
Well, I think that that there's been a lot of educational effort towards store owners and store owners educating customers. So I think that played a role in it. And yeah, there was no rigs until 2010. I think Revere Glass was the first production rig with male joints. As far as I remember from the time, there was no other glassblower shops making a series of, at the time, all rigs had male joints. And we changed over the line. Again, everyone was like, that's super dangerous. I can't believe you're making only rigs. And, I don't know. It worked though.
Yeah, look where we're at today, right? Did you have any mentors throughout your career going here? And who's maybe helped you out like the biggest amount?
Yeah, I've had a lot of mentors, and I try to learn from everybody, including students. I feel like I'm always learning, and I think that it's super stimulating. A few of the really big influences I had were my dad is an artist, and he's a jeweler. And so I grew up around creativity and masters. And so that was a huge influence on me. And Gianni Toso, Maestro Gianni Toso, he had over 700 years of recorded father to son history in glassblowing. It's the oldest recorded glass family, and his family is the Fratelli Toso factory in Murano. And he invited me to be his apprentice in 1997 or 8 maybe. And so I stayed with him for a year and did a traditional apprenticeship. And that was pretty influential. I think in that time period, he taught me like a lot about how to think about glass, not a specific technique, but the logic of glass and like how it moves, why it's doing this, what happens when you do that, as opposed to these are the steps to this technique. He wanted me to kind of think about it from a broader picture. And so he was super influential in my glass blowing work. And then, I'm inspired by some of the amazing glass blowers. I mean, Yashin spent a bunch of time working in my shop. Certainly am inspired by his work. Banjo, Ryan Fitt, his combination of metal and glass. I'm just inspired by achievement and technique. So some of those guys have come and hang out in the shop and taught workshops, but I think that Gianni Toso certainly had a pretty big influence in my work and just how I think about glass.
Hell yeah, man. Have you had any periods in your career where like you made a big change in it, where maybe you're just a piper and then now maybe you're just a teacher?
Yeah, right. So when Phil Siegel started at my school, he started blowing glass at Revere Glass in 2000, probably 11 or something like that, 10 or 11. And so he came to the studio and he said something pretty interesting. He says, I'm an artist that's just choosing pipes as my medium, as my expression. So I feel that like I'm an artist and a creator, and glass pipes is just one of the things that I do. But I design shirts and jewelry and interior design and all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, I think that over time, everything shifts. Change is the one thing we can count on. That's the consistent. So over time, I've done different things, and now I don't have a production line. I make pieces for sale once in a while, but I focus a lot on teaching. I get a lot out of helping people and helping change people's lives and developing the online school. I'm working on some lighting projects. It's always developing, and I think that just making what's true and what feels good kind of for me feels better than making the same piece over and over again. And droplets, that's why I just don't make droplets or whatever. It's because I think that's a little boring.
Right. So you're just pretty much full creative. I mean, not just being you're fully in the marketing side and all the art side and everything, but I'm sure you're also doing the whole business side. So you're very versed in the business side, because
Yep.
you wouldn't be here this long if I think you didn't also have a gist in that as well.
Yeah, I think that's what people have said, is that I have like a pretty nice balance between creativity and business. I've also started other companies outside of the glass world that grew pretty big. So I like business. I've been CEO of a few companies, and
Wow.
that I created. And the one, it grew pretty big. And, I was the first person to bring in purified hydrocarbon gases into California. At the beginning of the hash making industry, everyone was using bottled gases, and I have epilepsy and I could taste the mercaptans, and that's a trigger for seizures. So I wanted to fix that. So I sourced purified hydrocarbon gases, brought that into California in 2014 before anybody else. And then, other people started to do it around 17, 18. But for a few years, that company was the only one doing it. And that grew pretty big. We had locations all over and a bunch of employees. So yeah, running a business and operations, marketing, I love all that stuff too. I feel like it is part of being creative, and it's a balance between the two sides of my brain. So yeah, I like the marketing side and the operations and also the creative side. It's a balance.
That's so cool, man. So if you when you are in the glass side of glass, what's your like favorite technique to do? What would be like if you were just working on stuff? Is it like wigwag stuff, line tubing, fuming?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of line work. So wigwags and radicello, I really enjoy those. Marinis, I've made a lot of marinis over the years and certainly really enjoy that technique. Um, a lot of the techniques that I like are kind of stem from my Italian background, and blowing out borosilicate on a blow tube is another technique that I brought back from Italy and started teaching my videos. Now it's fairly common where people have a metal blow tube and blow out, little spheres of glass that they can connect to make colored tubing. So those kind of techniques, I think, and I like late stage construction quite a bit as well.
And so late stage construction, that's when you're taking all the parts and pieces.
Yeah.
And that's the ass pucker part I call, because
Uh-huh.
it's when it can all go wrong. Like, yeah. So you enjoy the pressure, no pressure, no diamonds in your life. It sounds
Yeah.
like too.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. I like the feeling where, you kind of get a little bit of adrenaline and you're hyper focused and watching the Bunsens and or whatever is going on. And yeah, I like that. I like that late stage construction.
When you mentioned Bunsens, and for me, that's fairly new within the last like year or two.
Oh,
How
cool.
long how long have you been using Bunsens, and how did that come around in your life? Because I think they're huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're referring to Bunsen's on the bench.
Yeah.
Because on the lathe, it's obviously pretty common. So um, I got my first lathe probably in 2010 or 9 or something around there. And so I had Bunsen's on there. And then there was a glass blower. I'm not sure if he's still active. I think so. His name's Preston Hanna. And he pushed the Bunsen on the bench. He was coming to the studio and hanging out. And he was making these things called waffle perks. And he had a Bunsen on his bench, He kept pushing it. And so yeah, so since then I've had a Bunsen on my bench as well.
Yeah, I think those things are revolutionary for just helping out.
Yeah, one time, I don't have the piece here, it's old, but one time I had this piece that I was making a bunch of attachments on. It was out of the kiln for like 4 or 5 hours just on Bunsen's.
Just sitting there.
Yeah. And yeah, that's because that heat that we basically create this like nice hot environment for the piece right on the bench and can continue to work on it.
Yeah, and like you said, I didn't know that long, but 4 or 5 hours it can stay there when it's just right and everything.
Yep.
Man, that's so cool. What's your favorite color to work with?
Yeah, I like the purple colors a lot. I like the reactive colors, and I don't know, colors that are easy to work are the ones that are the funnest to work for me, because I don't have to really pay as close of attention to creating the environment where we'll bubble and things like that. So I don't know, it's I like color and brightness. There's no real, for me, coming from a place where there was 4 colors, right? That when I started working glass, there was 4 colors, and I would call North Star and they would send me some like odd ones, like oddball colors that they weren't selling and didn't release. So I had maybe more, and some weird ones, like lichen was one of them, just weird colors. And so I'm more appreciative of the variety now of color. And I can't even name them all. There was a time where I could look at every color in the industry and easily name it. And now there's just, hundreds and hundreds of colors and new ones every day. So I'm thankful that it's developed to the point where there is that much color.
Me too. And you mentioned the purples, like forever all there was kind of like hyacinth and some other things that didn't feel great all the time. And now they got all these transparent ones, and they just, thanks for all doing that work, whoever's doing it all, Yeah.
Well, it was this Sue Ellen Fowler was really critical in developing borosilicate color. She developed the amber purple, caramel, ruby, some of those very original colors by hand mixing them. And there's another gentleman who started North Star after Troutman with his name was Charles. He played a big role in it. And of course, Glass Alchemy, Henry and Susan played a big role in color development as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you to all of them, and thank you for knowing all their names, man. Because, man, we would be here probably, but not like it is. And it's cool.
I mean, it's important to give homage to the people who shoulders we're standing on. I think a lot of people in the industry forget where they started, and they forget their teachers, and they disrespect their teachers. And not every teacher-apprentice relationship is butterflies and flowers. You know, those are hard environments, and people are trying to make money, and students are trying to learn, and teachers and studio owners are trying to run a studio. And so I think that in this industry, some people maybe forget about where they started and the efforts that those people put in to make them have careers. And so I always want to remember where I started, and I very much respect the people who honor me and recognize me as an influence in their work. And some people don't. Some major players in this industry started at my studio, and I guess they believe that it was them all alone the whole time.
And you know, while each artist, man, it is them. It's really the environment as well, because I truly believe we're 80% of our environment. So you can be great at everything, but the better environment you're in, the quicker, the better you're going to excel. All of that stuff. And yeah, so that's like, to grow up in a shop like yours would be, in this world, probably a dream of heaven. But it is like, to have a shop, it's fucking hard. If you're in an industrial place, you know, the rent is way freaking higher there. There's more insurances. There's so many aspects to it. And
Gym bills and marketing and bench maintenance, and there's tons of stuff. And
cleaning a bathroom.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong, I didn't put in the hours to make those people good. I created the environment that gave them the opportunity to work hard. And I'm not saying that my teachers did the hours that I did, but they created the environment for me to go to, and for me to have creativity and to believe in myself. And I did the work, I did the hard work, but I still pay homage to my teachers.
Yeah. And we should. Hell yeah, man. That's really neat, man. Because this is a crazy industry.
Oh yeah.
What's the most difficult piece you've ever attempted in your career, and was it a success?
I don't know. It's nothing is always not. I don't know. Is success? A success is learning. A success is an advancement of your skill. So, I don't know what's the most advanced. I mean, certainly I've tried to push my limits and make pieces with tons of attachments, and that was pushing my limits. I'm working on some lighting stuff, bigger scale stuff, and that's challenging. But I think it's less about like what technique is the hardest. I think the hardest thing is getting up and going to the studio every day and progressing. That continued motivation, that continued work. Getting up, you cracked a piece yesterday, getting back up, going to the studio and trying again.
Right.
And I think that's the hardest thing to maintain.
Yeah, man. And you've been doing it 27 years, and that's just kind of life. Life is fucking hard, and to maintain, and
yep.
Get like you're always going to get knocked down in life, and you just got to get up like Rocky and just keep trying. And
yeah, we all have our traumas, and we all have our difficulties in our life. And, it's not really about what's happened and how negative and hurtful that's been. It's about getting up again. It's about trying again. It's about continuing to put out love, even though that's not always been the case that people have showed you. So you just get up, and you know the right thing to do. You get up and love everybody every day. That's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's quite a thing, growing as a human. And I don't know. This is just such a neat industry that we're in, and just really blessed to be a part of it. And it's just neat, man. Um, what do you get to collaborate often then? I mean, you have a lot of people come down. So if I was you, I'd get to try to throw a piece in.
Yeah. So when the so right now I have an online school. I think you kind of briefly touched on it at the beginning, but
sorry there, but in this online school, you can learn like all the way from the beginning to masterful techniques.
Yeah.
By all the different artists as well.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And I wanted, after closing Revere Glass, I took a little bit of break from that, but I wanted to create an environment where people could learn anywhere affordably and good quality. So yeah, I have, fundamental programs, pipe making one, and fundamental techniques. And, then I bring in guest artists for workshops, live 8-hour workshops that are focused on more advanced techniques. So certainly it's a community. You can meet people and collaborate, and you can go from beginning to end or just be part of the community. But those teachers that come in, I tend to, if they want, we collaborate on a piece. And a lot of those are kind of what things I make these days. So I think I have one. Oh no, that's just what he made in the class. But I have a piece here that Rich Villa made in the class, and we made another one like it, but we sold it, and they had my Radicello tubing and stuff on it. Oh, and here's another piece. You can check this one out too. This is one that Mickelson made before he taught pipe making. This was 2006 or 7. He made this in the studio. But yeah, I love to collaborate with the glass artists that come, and I'm super open to collaborating. It's really fun making pieces together. And I don't do it for the money. I do it for the connections, for the network, for the fun. And that way I kind of feel like it keeps the creative process pure.
Right. I love what you've built, man. They say if you do what you love, you never work a day in life. And
yeah.
well, I'm sure you got to clean the bathrooms and do that shit. And maybe not that necessarily, but life's about that.
Yeah.
You get to blow glass with some really neat people, and whether they're the first day on the torch or 20 years into it. And it's just, I love what you've built, man. And
thanks.
What you're helping with the community is it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, the school is pretty cool. If you guys want to check it out, it's revereglass.com. There's a free trial, 7-day free trial. So you can try it out and see if you like it. You can cancel anytime, however long you want to use it for, is totally amazing. And the video, I think the video quality is really good. The audio quality is really good. We have 5 camera angles and all adjusted correctly with the right filters and iris and gain adjustments and everything like that. So there's a lot of different angles. Sometimes we'll show you 3 angles at the same time of the same move because we have multiple cameras set up. So yeah, if you're interested, you feel free to check it out.
Yeah. I think it's an amazing thing, and it's just because it's throughout the years of my education, you can see how you teach people, and it's how you just do this compared to this is why you do it, and then this is how you do it. Yeah. And that's what your videos are. It's this is why you're doing it, and then how to do it, and then because you've done it for a while. So yeah, thanks. Yeah.
It's important to remember too when you're watching glassblowing techniques that if I'm showing a way that I do it, it doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. It means that, and I often say this in my videos, that this is one of the ways that you can do this. This is the way that I'm doing it now because of this. But there's a lot of different paths to similar results. And so there's no defined correct way for many, many things.
And knowing different ways to do something is kind of a good thing, because while one way is the fastest and it always delivers a good product, so maybe it's the best, there's techniques or there's maybe situation where you got to know another way to get an effect or to get something.
It's important to have many tools in your toolbox. So, just because you have one hammer doesn't mean that might need a smaller hammer or a mallet hammer or, a rubber hammer, depending on what you're using it for. And yeah, probably any hammer could get the job done, but having many different tools to choose from will increase your repertoire and be able to give you more techniques and a broader scope of the medium.
Right. And yeah, a friend of mine's dad said that, you're only as good as the tools you have. And, it was always like, what tool is he talking about? But it's your skills, owning the different techniques, and then having, same thing around nice, good quality tools and different tools for each job. It does help out the stuff, but the skills.
Yeah, I'm by tools, I'm meaning skills and
Yeah.
and paths, and tools are great and they can definitely make your job easier. But you give me a mid-range torch and a reamer and I could do the same thing as on my Delta Mac with a pair of jacks. So yeah.
Right. Like mentioning that, I love at the beginning, you mentioned a national torch that you started on.
Yeah.
I never heard about it till maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. I believe it's what every blower should start with now. And because I didn't realize how versatile it was, how durable they are. And so that's a question. Do you still have your original national torch? And do you still use a national torch?
I know I don't. And I have a water bucket that's been on my bench since the 90s. So that's my crack off bucket. That's like one of the remaining tools that's been consistent over the many years.
The water bucket.
The crack off bucket still holds water. It's right there. I can still use it today. Yeah.
Nice. Have you ever competed in any events or any kind of like competitions, and do you enjoy them?
Yeah, I competed in the 2000, I think 7 and 9 Eugene Glass School Flame Off. They don't have that anymore. I took first and second place in the collab one, and I think second place in independent or your solo project one year.
That had to feel good.
yeah, I was competing against Jason Lee and Marcel, who were together, and I guess that year I was better. Won the competition that year, so that felt pretty good because those are guys who are massively good and entrenched in the industry. But it was fun. But I haven't competed in anything since about those years. But it's cool to see everyone going to champs and competing. Maybe one day I'll get an invite and I can compete there too.
I'm sure all you got to do is ask. Do you consume cannabis or not?
Yeah, not as much as I used to. I used to consume quite a lot of cannabis, and I have epilepsy, so I found it really helpful for controlling seizures. And luckily, they don't really occur anymore. And I think probably, growing and meditating and CBD use and everything has a role in that. But I smoke, before bed sometimes. I smoke CBD sometimes. But not as much as I used to. You just wake up and smoke all day long, which I have no issue with. And I love cannabis and it's incredibly healing. And at the time, I really, really found it useful. But I've done a bunch of personal work. And I felt that, I was, in my case, I had a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. And that was helping kind of not let me focus on it, which was what I wanted at the time. But, after kind of going deeper into that and doing some work around that, I didn't feel like I needed that softness around anymore.
Nice, man. Nice. Like, not nice that you had those pains or struggles, but, it's that there was that plant there to help get through it. And then you were able to solve it, because that's one thing in life where this industry does attract, it's a good place if you have problems in your life, and you can be you and you can do that, but only you can solve those problems. Drugs, glass, none of that's going to solve it. I think glass can help. It's pretty neat where you fucking this whole day went in a water bowl and you better get the fuck over that, but life is life's a battle. And
yeah, what I say is that life is hard enough as it is, so enjoy it when you can. But yeah, I smoke cannabis, and I think that cannabis, glass, drugs, all that stuff can be helpful in the right circumstances, the right setting.
Right. Do you prefer a flower, the dabs, or do you prefer like edibles, or do you just when you need it, just kind of however you want it?
Well, I like to dab CBD, like pure CBD, like CBD isolate or a really pure CBD oil. I like to dab that, and then I'll smoke flower usually, maybe in the hot tub or something. So,
Nice,
yeah.
nice. Um, do you have any hobbies outside of glass and building Revere glass?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important to note that a lot of us in the industry, and me, and speaking for myself, there's been times when I've been so focused on glass and then wake up and glass all the time. And I found that broadening that made everything feel a lot better. So yeah, I mean, I have some hobbies that I do for fun, like scuba diving, for example. Like I love to scuba dive. I love tropical water and seeing all the colors and floating around, neutrally buoyant, and it's definitely super psychedelic and meditative. You just hear your breath. So that's something I do just for fun. And then I design shirts and jewelry and interior design. I do a lot of that. I practice Tantra, which is also, I guess, a hobby or something I do outside of glass blowing. But I think having a broad range of things, I exercise, I jump on the trampoline, do some yoga. I think all those things are important to have a balance.
A balance, right? Hell yeah. Um, what can we look forward to in the future from you? I know you were mentioning some lighting project that you're working on, a big lighting project.
Yeah, I'm working on like some architectural designs, seeing if I can push the work in that way. Um, and Revere Glass, the school is growing. There's more content all the time. Right now, there's a pipe making one program, which is available for everybody on the site. And we're going through basic fundamental shapes in clear, and then pipe making two will be basic color tech and putting those together for pipe three. So developing the online school is definitely something that I work on, bringing in more teachers and developing the programs. There's a color test where I go through each color and I make a little sculpture that's the same of each color. And I talk about what this color, I like it, what it's good for. And so I think that's pretty cool. If you're into glass blowing, like trying to learn about the different colors, you can actually see it being melt. It's like a color chart video. Basically.
Yeah, but you can, and as well, like, is it worth your money? Do you give that out there? Because some colors like Unobtainium, it's great, but I don't know. Don't be careful to waste your money on it.
Yeah, I mean, and well, that's the thing is, what are you going to use it for? There's a lot of things Unobtainium can be used for, and I've certainly had pieces crack, but some of them have not. So well, how about Calypso is another one, right? I don't know if you remember that color, but it was this beautiful teal blue with some red streaking sometimes, and amazing color, but really checky and cracky. So I talk about all the colors. There's the Boro, forum on the website. It's called Boro Babel, and I put a lot of effort and time in developing the website, and I'm working on collabing, lighting projects, some design projects outside of glass.
Oh yeah, man. I love what you're doing here, the creation in all of things, the freaking hustle. It's good to watch.
I mean, I'm a single father and full-time, two boys, one's 18 and the other's 16 now. So I like to hustle and I want to provide and give them a good life, and I'm lucky that I can do that through creativity.
Hell yeah. Do you find you still have the same love and like passion today as when you first started some 27 years ago?
It's not the same love, but it is love. And it's, it's developed more. It's more like an old relationship, right? It's like at the beginning, there's a certain kind of excitement and everything is new. And as you've been in a relationship for a decade or more, you kind of know your partner and you know what to expect, and you've seen the ups and the downs, and there's love. It's like an old wine. And so, the glass, I have a lot of history in this industry with a lot of people and a lot of work and a lot of things. And, everything from starting Golden Gate Glassworks with Dave Strobel and Saeed to, competing in those flame ops and having, students like Phil Siegel and Punty and Dosa starting in my studio. There's a lot of history. And so there's a lot of love, but it's not that same wonderment that was at the beginning.
Right. Like you said, it's a matured relationship, and it's obviously a deep love, because a lot of times relationships break up after 5, 7, 8 years, so you're in it for the long haul. So
I love it. I love to be creative. I think I'm pretty good at it. There's certainly people who are better and people who are worse, but I feel like I'm a good teacher and I've helped a lot of people, and I know the techniques pretty well. So I feel like, it's not something I just want to give up on after 27 years.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that I missed, and where's the best place for us to follow you, to find this? revereglass.com. Revere Glass on Instagram will lead you to your store.
There's revereglass.com, which is the online school. DustinRevere.com will there'll be available work there if there is anything available for sale. Instagram at Revere Glass. There'll be announcement of drops of clothing drops and glass drops, or announcements of teachers, things like that. And of course, I have a YouTube channel, and that's a great place to get education free, connect with me. I think there's about 6 million views and 75-ish thousand subscribers.
I think your channel is probably the best glass blowing channel out there, on the internet. It's just there's so much stuff out there. It's so great. That's why I have this little thing going on. I'm like, I don't know why these guys hang with me here. I so appreciate it and love it. But what you're doing is beyond anything that I can wave a stick at. And it's the information you give there in your areas. It's just phenomenal, man. I just love it.
Thanks. Yeah. I think that there's room, and you have your channel. I've of course checked it out. And I think people stick with you and other channels as well, because I'm not the end all, right? I created a nice channel. I learned how to use good cameras and create an environment for quality education. That's what I do. That's what my channel is about, right? And so there's other channels that are different. There's a glass channel where they do a game show thing that I guess some people like to be on the game show. There's a scientific kind of channels. There's people who are doing experiments with glass. There's interviews, there's all kinds of stuff. And so I think that it's important that there's the variety. I have my contribution, sure. Maybe I'm the best at what I do, but I don't know if, that means that I should be the only thing around. There's so much room. Yeah. I'm not worried about competition. I'm myself. No one's going to be me. So if you want to make a channel on YouTube, do it. There's room. Just do what is you. Do what inspires you. Don't be me. I'm me.
I fucking love it, man. But it's really awesome. Man, I feel blessed that you take this time today and sit here with me. This is all my selfishness to get you here and these artists here to get to know you a bit, and because I don't leave or do anything. So I appreciate it. And man, I've heard your name around so much by all the other artists that I've interviewed, and it's just, there's no doubt that you have made a huge impact in a lot of lives here. And I just love, and appreciate what you've done, because, like you mentioned with the YouTube, there's a lot of it out there and go, but it wasn't like that before. There was no freaking YouTube. And
mine was probably the first one to do it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But there's room. There's room for everybody to put up a video or make multiple videos. And when I did the YouTube channel, when I started off, there was a video that was up on YouTube. It's called by Seth Ray Glass. It's called "Why is Glass Blowing So Cool?" This is why glass blowing is so cool. And the video had like 500,000 views, and it's this guy. And Seth Ray, if you're still around, or you're watching this, thank you for the inspiration. And I'm gonna be a little, you were blowing glass without a shirt on, with a mid-range torch, with bad lighting and no didatium filter, and he's blowing glass, and the music cuts off. He's listening to Chili Peppers, making a one-hitter, and the music cuts off. Damn, he blows glass for like another minute or two, and then like reaches under his decks and flips a breaker and turns the lights back on. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy put up this video, the fucking power goes off. It's like he can't see what he's doing, and at the time I had already Revere glass, and it was a beautiful studio, and I had cameras, I streamed stuff, and I've been photographing my work for years. And so I was like, man, I'm just going to try to make a video, see what happens. And it was that video that inspired me. I wasn't the very first person to put glass blowing on YouTube, but was inspired by some early attempts at it. And I put up how to make a dabber, how to make a spoon, or something like that. And got 1,000 views in a day or something. I was like, holy shit! I guess people want to see this stuff.
And that's it. Being in your environment, you were in the environment. You were proactive. You were already in the video stuff, and you see something, you're like, man, I'm going to do this. And so that's the neat thing about glass blowers is, sometimes I even feel like, I think I came up with this. Then you feel like, I definitely didn't come up with that. And no matter what, man, like, or you get an idea from somebody, it's just, I don't know where I was going with that. Just that.
Well, it's important that if you come up with something, or you think of something and somebody else has done something similar, that shouldn't stop you from continuing on that path, because you can develop that in a way that's for yourself. If I saw that video of Seth Ray blowing glass and I said, oh man, somebody's already put up a video of blowing glass on YouTube, why the fuck would I want to do that? I would have never created it. And so even though there was a video on YouTube, it wasn't like what I did, and certainly didn't have the impact that I did on the industry, even though there was a video. But there was no, I put up videos.
But if he held the video that nobody else can do glass videos, we'd be stuck with him making one pipe and no other videos. And
right. Yeah. And I mean, especially the first season of it, I just put up a bunch of techniques. I was like, this is how this technique works. This is how this one. And then as, later on in the seasons, I've focused less on the techniques and more on, this is the piece that I'm making. If you want to learn more specifically about the techs, go watch the earlier videos or go to the online school. There's room for that. If you want to make a flower or an underwater scene, there's people who've done that for a long time, different kinds of scenes. So you just do it yourself, do you, but don't be scared to go down a path that's similar to somebody else, because you'll develop your own way through that path along the way.
Right. It's not biting, and you will, like you said, you will find you and be you. I love it. Be you.
Yep. Everyone else is already taken.
Dustin, man, I think I'd like to end it off with that. Just be you, man, and everyone else is taken. It's
cool.
It's fucking great. Thank you so much for this time. It was a fucking pleasure and an honor. And go check out Dustin Revere and Revere Glass.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it, man.